What's up, it's your boy Dynast. At the end of this video, make sure you go to www.dynastmirror.com. Check out our indigenous African art, jewelry, fashion, and accessories. Also go to searchforuhuru.com. Learn more information on the documentary we're shooting. Also contribute towards the documentary. Last but not least, go to amazon.com. Search the name Dynast Mirror. Buy a book. They'll come up. Once you search my name, cop a book. I really appreciate the support. The support the books I've written. Wanted to shoot this video on Buhari's illness and his treatment in London proves that African brain drain is real. And I know there are a lot of you already have Chinese building up Africa. Of course, you just have non-Africans in general who are building Africa. But if I know there are a lot of Africans who are in denial, say, "Oh, we don't need these Chinese to build up Africa, and by God, you Black Americans, don't you come to Africa and help us do anything." But the simple fact that Buhari, who's ill, has to travel all the way to London to get treatment proves that Africa needs all the help that they could get. I mean, let's go in on this. So Buhari, the president of Nigeria, we'll say Buhari is probably the fourth most powerful man in Africa. We'll say the president of Egypt, I think it's Mubarak. Is it Mubarak? Hold on, give me a second. Let me look this up. I want to get my facts together. Let's see here. President. Give me a second. President of Egypt. Oh no, some guy named Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. So we'll say he's probably Egypt. Him. Of course, you got Uhuru Kenyatta in Kenya. And then you have Zuma in South Africa. And then you have Buhari. Now, I think Nigeria might be has the number one GDP in Africa. Or either South Africa has the number one. Either the number one or number two. But anyways, Buhari is a powerful man. But this powerful man has to travel all the way to London to get treatment. Now, what's crazy about this is Nigerians have some of the smartest people on the planet. Do you know how many smart and talented Nigerian doctors I know? In fact, the Will Smith movie, the concussion movie about the CTE, these NFL players that end up being diagnosed with this concussion syndrome, the doctor that discovered that is Nigerian. So you have all these smart Nigerians across the world, across the planet, and you're trying to tell me that Muhammad Buhari had to travel all the way to London to get treatment. You're trying to tell me that none of these smart Nigerians, these doctors, I know there are plenty of talented Nigerian doctors across this planet. You're trying to tell me none of them could come back to Niger and treat Buhari, but instead he had to go to London? You're trying to tell me all these smart Nigerians and rich Nigerians, you're trying to tell me there's not a hospital in London that could treat your president? We'll say the number 4 as far as the top 10 list of most powerful people in Africa. Buhari's probably number 4 or number 5. He couldn't be treated in Africa or in Nigeria. So that just proves that African brain drain is real. And that proves that I know a lot of Africans, when they leave Africa, for, a better education, a better opportunity, and sometimes they come to the West and have the audacity to talk shit and just how great their country is and how they just work hard and, how sometimes they're better than Black Americans because they just work hard and all this other stuff, and how proud of a Nigerian or Somalian or Ethiopian, how proud they are. But the thing is, y'all ain't going back to build up anything in Africa. Proof is Buhari. He can't go to a hospital in Nigeria. he can't be treated in Nigeria, or I guess in Africa when you really look at it. So there's no hospitals in Africa that could treat Buhari, that he had to go to London to get treatment. So that's why when a lot of Africans come to the West, whether it be Europe or to America, and start talking shit, it's like you guys can't even build up your own infrastructure. And that goes for us too, as far as Black Americans. We're in the same boat. But none of us should be talking shit to each other when your fucking president has to travel to London to get medical treatment. I mean, we have to look at that. We have to examine that. That's a major problem. That's a major problem. There's guns. The Falcons are playing. The Super Bowl's going on. I'm in Atlanta. There's gunshots. You know, the game's not over yet, but you know the Falcons are up, so people think the game is over. So yeah, we got to take a look at that, family. That Buhari, one of the most powerful people in Africa, has to go to London to get treatment. When Africans, when they leave Africa to get educated in the West, and they start talking shit, but they don't have even hospitals in Africa that can treat one of the most powerful men in Africa, that's a problem. We have to talk about that, family. And we got to come up with solutions. Meaning a lot of these Africans in Africa, this is how you got to look at it. A lot of your friends who leave Africa to come to the West, they're not coming back. And proof is, because you should see how good they're doing in the West. You should see the infrastructure they're building and putting in work in the West. You should see the wealth that they have in the West. But Africans, what you have to realize is that your friends aren't coming back. And for the most part, even though a lot of Africans in the West are going to get upset at me when I say this, they for the most part have become Black Americans or freaking European Black or Black Europeans. That's what they are now. Because they're not coming back. They're not bringing that knowledge back to Africa. They're not trying to come back and rebuild Africa. They're not trying to build the infrastructure in Africa. They're not. Because if they were, the Chinese wouldn't have to do it. Africans wouldn't have to rely on Chinese to build the infrastructure. Chinese are fucking building up everything in Africa. Meanwhile, Africa has they have Black Americans and they have Africans that have left Africa for opportunity who can easily come back and build a damn hospital for Buhari. That's a problem. And we talk about Africa being self-sufficient and independent, but you don't even have a hospital that could treat one of the most powerful men in Africa. We got to talk about that. So now it's up to the African Union, even though for the most part they're a puppet organization. Buhari's part of it though. So it's up to the African Union to finally reach out to all of these talented Black Americans and Africans who have left and give them some type of initiative to come back and help build Africa in the same way they give all these initiatives to China. Because you guys don't even have a hospital that can treat your damn president. That's a shame. I guarantee you, if Donald Trump or any U.S. president had to leave America to get treatment if he was sick, in fact, that would never happen. At the very least, they would call in somebody to America to treat him. I mean, Nigeria, at the very least, call in a doctor. Or at least just build a hospital, Nigerians, to treat Buhari. I mean, the Nigerian government's probably stealing money anyway. So shit, you might as well build a hospital if you're going to steal money. So again, fam, we got to look at this. Africa doesn't even have a hospital to treat Buhari. That's sad. So the African Union, Africa, you guys are going to have to start reaching out. I know you don't want to. I know you'd rather just reach out to China and continue to get screwed on these deals. But you guys are going to have to actually reach out to the diaspora, Black Americans, Jamaican, the Africans who left to gain an education or to chase after opportunities in the West, that have been successful, that have built infrastructures here in the West. It's time for you guys to reach out to them and call them back to Africa. Like, look, you guys got to come back. Here are their initiatives. Because trust me, China's screwing you guys anyway. So at least call back some people who are actually going to be sincere. Because if you really think China's going to operate in the best interest of Africans in Africa, you're tripping. So at least reach out to some Africans or Black Americans or whoever who have the talent, the resources, and just the drive, and who are passionate about building up Africa. Call them back. I know they'll come back in a heartbeat, and you guys know they are, and you guys know they will too. So again, Africa doesn't even have a hospital to treat Buhari. That's a major problem. That's a huge problem. Huge. I think that's a bigger problem than, and I've never really had an issue with electricity in Africa. I mean, here and there you might have some power outages for a couple minutes, but it's never really been that bad. But I think the fact that you can't treat your own president, I think that problem is worse than the electricity problem. You might disagree. I don't know. That's just how I feel. So follow me on social media. Search for Uhuru on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. Dinah Samir. Till next time, I'm out.